Welcome to my kind of late March wrap up. I did have a bunch of videos in my queue ready to go. By ready, I just mean they were recorded, and because I suddenly got really busy at the end of March, I didn't have a chance to batch edit. So while I was able to batch record and have a huge backlog ready to go, I didn't manage to edit all the videos that I wanted to. So we're a little bit delayed this month in terms of uploads, but that's okay. We're going to move on. I'm sure no one really noticed because I'm sure everyone's watch later lists are as lengthy as mine. I'm finally here to tell you about the books that I read in March and also some of the books that I've read in April because we're already halfway through the month. So I thought I would do a more recent reads kind of video rather than a March wrap up dedicated to that month. The books that I will be talking about in this video are Fool Me Once by Ashley Winstead, the Bridge Kingdom books by Daniel L. Jansen, The Ministry for the Future by Kim Stanley Robinson, The Unkillable Princess by Taryn Hunt, and Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. So if you're interested in any of those, click through the timestamps and get stuck in. Grab yourself a drink. I am so unprepared for this video that I think it's going to be a chatty one. So I would like to start off the video by talking about The Unkillable Princess because this book series needs more hype. This is the direct sequel to The Immortality Thief, which I read back in February. Absolutely loved it. I gave it 5 stars. It was my favourite book of the year so far until this one came along. This one I would actually say is kind of neck and neck with the first book. I won't go into too much detail about this because it is a sequel, but there are some details that I can share. The first book, The Immortality Thief, is a space horror book. It's about a man called Sean who is a linguist. He has been travelling around with his friend Benny, and they've been getting into trouble with the police. Various law enforcements, I think, actually. In order to make a deal, a bargain for their freedom, Sean and Benny agree to go to this spaceship and get the Philosopher's Stone, which is basically a chunk of data that people have been looking for a while, and it's said to be on this abandoned spaceship. So they head there with a crew. The other crew members are killed or vanish quite quickly, and then it turns out that there are 2 other parties on this spaceship looking for the same data. And not only are there other parties, there are really creepy creatures on this spaceship as well. So the vibes were immaculate. Sean is a himbo. He is the loveliest guy and far too trusting, far too lovely for this kind of space horror adventure. But there he is. He likes and trusts everyone that he comes across, and he is just there to make friends, basically. At the same time, Sean has some insecurities. He hasn't been treated very well in the past, and also his entire family have been killed by one of the parties on this spaceship. They were killed quite a few years ago at the point of the story starting. Not just his family, but his entire city was basically wiped out. So Sean has some stuff going on, and he is wonderful. He is one of my all-time favourite main characters. I think everyone who reads this would love him. Some people may get annoyed with him. They might find him very frustrating, but I never did. I just love him. I want to hug him. I love Sean. What I also loved about The Immortality Thief was the linguistic stuff. I work in the translation industry. I just love the way that Sean, the linguist, had so much knowledge about these other languages, and he was the key to connecting everything, all the people on this spaceship. He was the key to bringing everyone together from the past and the present. Just those themes were amazing to me. So that's why I pre-ordered The Unkillable Princess. I have no excuse to not have read this in February. I think I was scared that I wasn't going to like it as much as I liked the first one, but I did. I loved it so much. So this is more of a heist story. They're no longer on the spaceship, and Sean has found himself part of a little trio who are kind of still on the run and are kind of heisting. So they get involved in some other dangerous stuff. And let me tell you, this trio are just wonderful. I do have a ship within this trio. I really ship Sean and Indigo. I don't know about anyone else, but they are OTP. But equally, if all 3 of them wanted to get married, then I would be absolutely fine with that because I love them. The 3 main characters in this series are incredible. They're very well written. They've all got their own stuff going on. They've all got their own trauma, which is lovely to see. I just think the author has done an incredible job with these characters while also plonking them into this like massive heist situation, which is also part of a massive political situation going on between these 2 warring galaxies or planets, I guess. The tagline for this one is "How far would you go for family?" and that is applicable in so many ways for this book. Oh, just so much depth. I love it so much. The reason I wanted to talk about this one first is because this series hasn't been picked up for a 3rd book, but it ends in a way that there could definitely be way more books in the series, and I think the author was originally hoping to write 6, but it's not super popular. And I'm telling you, read this book series, please. It's honestly incredible. I want to do a full review of these two books, maybe a solo review or maybe both books in one video, so I can talk about a little bit more spoilery stuff when it comes to this one, because I don't want to spoil the ending of The Immortality Thief. But you should read this. Sean is amazing. All the characters are incredible. It's fast paced. The author has done something really interesting here with the timelines. It kind of goes backwards and forwards in time, but in a more like choppy way. I'm sure there's like an actual like professional term for that kind of writing and what she's kind of experimenting with here, but I don't know what it is. But I really liked what she did here with the weaving of the timelines and how she would jump backwards and forwards and create tension that way. I thought that was really good. I wouldn't have liked it in all of my books because some authors can't pull it off, but Taryn Hunt did, and she took 3 years to write this one and it's turned out amazingly. Flawlessly. I honestly have no complaints. So that was The Unkillable Princess by Taryn Hunt. I think I've already said, but I gave it 5 stars. And then bringing myself back down to earth slightly, no pun intended, I read The Ministry for the Future. This one I've given 3.5 stars. I really appreciate what the author is doing here. So this is a SciFi book. It starts off, I think in 2025 in India when there's a massive heat wave and it kills hundreds and hundreds of people, if not thousands. One of the characters is caught up in that. He is visiting India. I think he's doing like some sort of charity thing, and he's there when this heatwave hits, and he is the only survivor in this small village, and obviously that traumatizes him. That's still not enough for the world to take climate change seriously. India starts to do kind of its own thing and becomes a world leader in fighting climate change and progressing carbon neutral and safer, cleaner ways of living. And this book follows many different characters. It's said to be like first-hand accounts and eyewitnesses of the goings on because this book spans years, but I don't think it really felt like that. I think I was expecting something akin to World War Z with the eyewitness accounts of the zombie apocalypse, but for SciFi, but that's not really how it felt. It kind of dragged, and I couldn't really tell when we were switching points of view, just that the writing style would change and then it would take me a little bit to get into it. There are also characters here who call themselves the Ministry for the Future who are based in Switzerland, and they're said to be fighting climate change. And they feel like they're doing all that they can, but it's not enough. And so you have like the rebellion group as well, who are potentially classed as terrorists, or potentially they're the true ministry for the future. So I think this book had a lot of good themes. It could have been really interesting. I just think it dragged. It's what, 700? No, it's not 700 pages. It's nearly 600 pages. And that was just too long. I think I really liked the kind of thought experiments that Kim Stanley Robinson put across here that he was kind of tackling. I really liked some of his ideas for tackling the crisis because it's all stuff that has been spoken about before that we could be doing now, but we're not. So yeah, it's a good book. I gave it 3 stars. As I said, it's just not an all-time favourite. I think I would recommend reading this if you're into SciFi and want to read about, you know, possibilities, how the world could look in the future. This is kind of depressing and hopeful at the same time. So it's a really interesting mix. So I'd recommend it, I think, just not for everyone. I read Fool Me Once by Ashley Winstead. This is the first book in a contemporary duology. Both of these are kind of political romances. In this first one, we follow a main character called Lee Stone, who is working as the marketing manager, I guess, of a small company who are developing electric cars. It's women owned. They feel like they're kind of, what's the phrase? Like the wind has been taken out of their sails, I guess. Is that what the phrase is? By that Musk guy and his electric car company. All the focus is on them when there are other smaller companies doing the exact same thing, if not better. So Lee, as a person, is a bit troubled. I think she's an alcoholic. I don't think this is ever like properly addressed. Go into this like maybe with that mindset if that's something that could trigger you, because she drinks a lot, and she drinks a lot to try and cope with the goings on in her life. And to me it came across as really unhealthy. I don't think she's a very likable main character at all. I think a lot of readers would not like her, but I did like the romance quite a lot. So the guy, the love interest, his name is Ben, and the two of them actually dated in college until she cheated on him before he could cheat on her. That was her logic. And as I said, she's a messy character. She has this big thing about cheating because her dad cheated on her mum and then married the person he was having an affair with, and then her dad passed away, and so she never had a chance to like really kind of have it out with her dad. She instead avoided him, and then she's feeling a lot of guilt about that. So she's got a lot going on. So Ben is, as I said, her ex, and he's really lovely. He is the assistant, or he's working for the governor. I don't really know how politics in the US and Texas work, not very well apparently, but he's working for this governor guy. Lee's company want the governor to sign a policy for electric cars to be used for government vehicles using their technology. And so the two of them have to work together to kind of get this campaign running and to convince senators, I think, who have to sign off on stuff. As I said, I don't really know how politics work and like what senators and governors and sheriffs and stuff are. I did enjoy this. It's not my favourite book by Ashley Winstead. It was really interesting to read her book, or her writing, as a romance book rather than a thriller book, because I always think in her thrillers her relationships and her characters are the best part, and in this I'm not so sure. I don't know because I didn't love Lee. I didn't hate her by any means, she's just not the kind of character that I really enjoyed reading about. So I've given this one 3.5 stars. I'm going to check out the second book in the duology hopefully this month, I think, for ARC April. Okay, and now I really want to talk about the Bridge Kingdom. I've read the first 2 books, the first one being the Bridge Kingdom and the second one being the Traitor Queen. As you can see, I've tabbed it and I loved it. So these books follow someone called Lara, who is a princess, kind of. Technically, she's not really treated as one, but her dad is a king. And her dad is trying to marry her off to the king of the Bridge Kingdom as a political marriage. And the idea is that Lara will infiltrate this Bridge Kingdom. I dropped a bookmark. Lara will infiltrate this Bridge Kingdom, kill the king of it, and then that will give her father a chance to take over the bridge and control trade in this continent, because the bridge kind of connects the north and the south. Everyone who's trading has to go through there. So I guess there are like tariffs and tolls and stuff, which, you know, hits differently now. So the book starts with Lara killing her siblings so that she can be the one to marry the king. Her father takes her to the wedding, she gets married off, and then King Aaron takes her to the Bridge Kingdom. She is not allowed to know anything at first, because obviously Aaron and his people are very suspicious of her because she's this random princess who has come along. They don't know anything about her, they just know that her father is a dickhead. So Aaron is kind of keeping her at arm's length, and Lara is trying to get closer to him so that she can kill him. And she also wants to find out how she can help her people, her father's soldiers, infiltrate the bridge, because it's really secure. Like, no one has ever infiltrated the bridge before. But Lara wants to find out a way. So to do that, she has to get close to the people in the kingdom, including Aaron. And then obviously it turns into a romance, and it is amazing. I love this book so much. I think I only gave it 4 stars, but I'm gonna up that right now to 5 because it was amazing. So I'm giving this one 5 stars. So I'm giving the sequel, The Traitor Queen, 4.5. I just didn't love this one quite as much. Or did I? I think I did. I'm a bit conflicted. I don't really know why. The second book, The Traitor Queen, has a very different vibe to the Bridge Kingdom, because obviously things happen at the end of this one that impact what's going on and where the characters are in The Traitor Queen. So things are a little bit different. Things are a bit chaotic. The characters are dealing with some very complex and complicated feelings, and it's all very harsh and emotional. And I loved it. I don't know why people aren't talking about this series more. I would say these are better than Carissa Broadbent's fantasy romance books. By far, actually. I love these characters, I adore them. And each of the romantic couples in the series gets a duology. So this is the end of Lara and Aaron's duology, but we're still gonna see them show up later on. Especially because at the end of The Traitor Queen, I'm convinced something is going on with Lara. I don't know. It's making me question things. It's making me very excited to see where the rest of the series goes. So I love this. I love political fantasy, and the fact that I've got a political fantasy romance series to get stuck into, absolutely love it. So I'm really, really pleased with these 2 books. I think I want to do a full review on each duology in this series, and then I also need to recap it as well. So if you guys want a recap of this, comment with an emoji of like the sea or waves or a ship or something, because I would love to know if you guys really want a recap too. I'm going to do one regardless. I want to know what the kind of demand is, because I can't stop thinking about these books, and I'm so close to picking up the 3rd book in the series. I'm just a bit hesitant because it follows different characters for at least part of it. I'm not ready to let go and move on, I think, so I'm just going to sit here for a little bit longer with these 2. And then the last book that I wanted to talk about today is Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. I am going to be honest, I didn't love this, and I think I wasn't, what am I trying to say? I didn't go into this expecting to love it, because while I adore the Hunger Games and that whole trilogy, I was not a massive fan of Songbirds and Snakes, because I didn't really care for the President Snow backstory and the characters in that. So I didn't go into this one with many high hopes, and to be honest, this one just fell flat for me. I feel like it wasn't doing anything unique. It copied or reused a lot of elements from both the Hunger Games and Songbirds and Snakes. Haymitch had a very similar romance in this one to some romances in the other books, and I felt like I had read it all before. Obviously we know where Hamish is going to end up. We know that he's a victor of the Hunger Games, so while I was reading this I really felt a ton of dread, and that's the main thing that I think about when I recall reading this book. That's good. That's a feeling that I want evoked in the dystopian books that I read, like a feeling of dread and horror, because I did get quite attached to the secondary characters despite knowing that, you know, most of them would die if they are in the games. I guess I just didn't know when or how they would die, and the suspense of all of that evokes a lot of dread. So I did like how Suzanne Collins made me feel that way, but again, this is another one that I feel was unnecessary and very repetitive. I guess it's kind of like hopeful in a way, because this is kind of the start of the rebellion against the capital in a way. And I think the whole point of the book is kind of showing, even if you're not successful to begin with, you should still try and then do it again but better the next time. And I think my favourite thing about this book was Suzanne Collins' author's note at the end, because I really liked what she was addressing there with like present day politics and stuff. I just don't think that the character work and the plot itself was as well done as I had hoping. There was, as I said, a lot of reusing and recycling of characters and plot points and relationships, and it didn't really feel as unique as I was hoping it would feel. Also, a lot of characters from the Hunger Games show up in this one. I won't say who, but they are involved quite heavily in this book, and it just felt like a bit fan servicey. There was one character in particular who shows up, and I really don't think they should have. There was absolutely no need for it. I could kind of see how the others would, because they were very important in Catching Fire and Mockingjay, but I don't think this other character needed to. I can't really talk about that too much without spoiling who shows up. But some parts of it just felt very unnecessary and Easter eggy fan servicey, and not in a very fun way. So I didn't love this. I gave it 3 stars. I appreciate what Suzanne Collins is doing. I hope that other people love this and can find something from it to, you know, inspire them and create hope, because I think we all need some inspiration and hope right now with the current goings on. This one just didn't really do it for me, and I will treasure the Hunger Games trilogy, the original, with my whole heart, but I just don't like her prequels, and I really hope she never does a Finnick book, because Finnick is one of my favourite characters and I don't want to read a bad book about him. I feel like if the book is out there in the world, I'm going to be forced to read it and I just won't have a choice. So yeah, 3 stars for this one. Very average, middle of the road, and I'm a little bit sad, but also I kind of expected it after Songbirds and Snakes. It was okay. So those are all of my recent reads. I am in the middle of, I think, 3 or 4 books right now. So I am soldiering on with the reading. I'm reading some really good stuff, so I'm really looking forward to posting my April wrap up, because I think I've got a lot of things that I will be able to talk about. So that's really exciting. Let me know if you've read any of these books, if you loved them, if you hated them. Tell me why. I would love to get a discussion going in the comments. If you take anything away from this video, then you should read The Unkillable Princess and you should read The Bridge Kingdom, because I said so. They were honestly such good books, and as you can see, I'm quite critical about the books that I read, so I wouldn't be recommending these if I didn't absolutely love them. These are my recent reads. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you've been reading recently in the comments below. I'll speak to you all soon. Bye.